You know, in the world of online shopping, there's a massive shift happening right under our noses. It's really a battle for the very foundation of e-commerce, and honestly, the winner is going to define how we all buy and sell online for the next decade.
So let's just dive right in with a question that gets to the absolute heart of the matter for any business out there today. Is your business built to last, or is it built to change? And this isn't just some philosophical thought experiment, it's the core strategic choice that we're going to unpack right now. First up, let's get a handle on the old guard, the approach that pretty much dominated the first big wave of e-commerce. We're talking about traditional commerce platforms. The best way to think about them is as these monolithic systems, kind of like a fortress built for stability. And back in the early days, when all you really had was a single web store, stability was exactly what you wanted. Everything, your storefront, the checkout, inventory, analytics, it was all bundled together into one single, tightly integrated codebase.
So what did that actually look like? Well, with the unified codebase and database, you ended up becoming heavily reliant on a single vendor. And this, well, it leads to really inflexible integrations and super slow development cycles. The cost for maintenance and upgrades were high, and you were pretty much tied to your vendor's roadmap, not your own.
But here's the thing. That stability, which was once a huge strength, became a critical weakness. Because the world changed. Mobile shopping just exploded. New sales channels popped up everywhere, and customers started demanding seamless experiences across all of them. And suddenly that fortress, it started to feel a lot more like a prison, where adding even a tiny new feature could take months, because everything was just so tangled together.
So, in response to all those cracks appearing in the fortress, a totally new paradigm emerged, the composable ecosystem. Let's dig into this completely different way of thinking. And that brings us to composable commerce. I want you to forget the fortress. Think of this more like a set of high-tech Lego blocks. It's a modular approach where you get to pick and choose the absolute best-in-class components for each job. One for payments, one for search, another for content, and then you connect them all with these flexible APIs. You're not buying a pre-built castle anymore. You're building your own custom ecosystem. Now, the technical foundation for all this is something called MACH architecture. And this acronym is really crucial. It stands for microservices, which are those small, independent components. API first, which just means everything is designed to communicate easily. Cloud native, so you get that on-demand scalability. And headless, which separates the front-end head, like your website or mobile app, from all the back-end operations. This is what lets you change the customer experience without having to rebuild the entire system from scratch. Okay, so now that we understand both sides, the fortress and the Lego set, let's put them in a head-to-head showdown. Because this isn't just about technology, it's really a clash of philosophies. The old world of control versus the new world of constant change. This table gives us a fantastic, top-level view of the key differences. You can see the architecture shifts from monolithic to modular. Agility goes from painfully slow to rapid. Scalability moves from adding expensive hardware to scaling on demand in the cloud. And maybe the biggest one, vendor lock-in, goes from high dependency to total freedom. Let's break a couple of these down even further. The difference in agility and scalability is probably best understood with a metaphor. Think about it this way. Traditional systems are like a giant cargo ship. Sure, they're slow and steady, but they're incredibly difficult to turn or speed up. Scaling means manually adding more hardware, which is both costly and slow. Composable architecture, on the other hand, is like a whole fleet of nimble speedboats. It scales automatically in the cloud, spinning up more resources only when you need them, like during a huge Black Friday rush. And this brings us to one of the biggest business risks out there, vendor lock-in. With traditional platforms, you are often just trapped by a single vendor's roadmap. If they don't prioritize a feature you need, well, you're stuck. The composable model completely flips this on its head. You have the freedom to choose the absolute best tool for every single job, and swap components out as better ones come along. The vendor works for you, not the other way around.
So, we've seen all the technical differences. But what does this all really mean for the bottom line? Let's talk about the real business advantage here.
At the end of the day, it all boils down to this one huge advantage. You get to build your very own best-in-class technology stack, one that is perfectly tailored to your unique business needs and your customer experience goals. You're no longer forced to just accept the good enough tools that come bundled with a monolithic platform. This idea is summed up perfectly here. You can build a platform built around customer experience, not vendor constraints. So for example, a retailer could integrate, say, Contentful for content, Algolia for search, and Stripe for payments. What you get is a high-performance platform that is completely free from the limits of a single vendor. It's a game changer.
And listen, this isn't some niche trend we're talking about. The entire industry is moving decisively in this direction. Gartner predicts that by 2027, a staggering 60% of digital commerce companies will have adopted composable architectures. The shift is already happening, right now.
And the numbers from McKinsey really drive home the impact. I mean, look at this. Companies using these modular architectures are seeing innovation cycles that are 50% faster. And even more importantly, they're achieving 30% higher digital revenue growth. This isn't just about having better tech, it's about driving real, measurable business results.
Now, this all sounds great, but I know what you're thinking. Making this switch isn't as simple as flipping a switch, right? It definitely requires a clear strategy.
And let's be realistic here. That kind of agility comes with a degree of complexity. Moving to a multi-vendor ecosystem, it requires skill and very careful planning. You're no longer managing just one system. You're managing an interconnected web of services, and without the right blueprint, that flexibility can quickly turn into chaos.
But the good news is, the path forward is totally manageable if you follow a phased roadmap like this one. It starts with a thorough assessment of your current system to find all the bottlenecks. Then you plan your new architecture and select your vendors. But this next step is crucial. You pilot the change. Start small. Replace just one piece, like your search function or your checkout process. Once that's successful, you can scale, gradually replacing the remaining modules at your own pace. This minimizes risk, and it makes sure your business keeps running smoothly.
So, after all of that, what's your next move?
Look, the writing is on the wall. The future of e-commerce is clearly, absolutely composable. The strategic choice for businesses isn't about stability versus features anymore. The new battleground is rigidity versus agility. And in a market that changes by the minute, agility is the only real way to win.
The future is modular. So the only question left is your business ready to adapt? Thanks for watching.